So as Jennifer explained, vital signs reports are released by local foundations across the country and now around the world. But our national organization, Community Foundations of Canada, also in certain years releases a national report. This year, they decided to focus their report on the question of belonging. Our sense of belonging is really at the heart of building more resilient communities and a more inclusive country. Belonging cuts across all aspects of community life. There we go. Belonging cuts across all aspects of community life and connects to some of today's most pressing issues, from the inclusion of newcomers to reshaping the relationship between Aboriginal peoples and all Canadians to strengthening rural communities. Leading up to Canada's 150th anniversary in 2017, Community Foundations of Canada decided to take a look back at how our nation has changed and our connection to our communities has developed in the years since Canada's last anniversary in 1967. Our National Vital Signs Report is based on responses to a national survey conducted in partnership with the Angus Reid Institute that was carried out this August. As we talk about the report this afternoon, we invite you to take part in the national conversation on belonging that's taking place on Twitter and social media right now under the hashtag #BSBelonging. So you can look that up after the launch on your devices. So when we're talking about belonging, what are we talking about? It's about how much we believe we fit into a place or group, but it's also about how much that group welcomes or includes us. So we can belong to many different types of groups at the same time: a community, a cultural heritage, a subculture, a workplace, a province, or a country. Why is the sense of belonging vital for the well-being of our communities? Because the feeling that you have a place causes you to have a stake in and care about your community and its future. So it should come as no surprise that studies show that people who feel that they belong to a community are more likely to take action with others for the common good. When we feel a strong sense of belonging and connection to the people around us, statistics show that we're healthier, sustained employment improves, neighborhoods are safer, communities bounce back more quickly after emergencies, and people feel that life has more purpose. Community belonging has been growing slowly but steadily over the last decade. Currently, 66.4% of Canadians aged 12 and older describe their sense of belonging to their local community as somewhat or very strong. This is even higher in Newfoundland and Labrador, as you'll see in our report, at 77%. Interestingly, the strongest sense of belonging is actually at both ends of the age spectrum. So teens have a 76.5% rate of feeling a strong sense of belonging, whereas seniors have a 73.9% rate. The sense of belonging to local communities is also slightly stronger among women than among men. And Canadian citizens born outside of Canada are actually more likely to have a very strong sense of being Canadian than Canadians born in the country. Visible minorities are more likely to identify with a new national identity if they feel their ethnicity is publicly respected. So in Canada, we're all aware that we value pluralism, and it shows how important that can be to integrating people who are newcomers to our country. Over the past decade, social connectedness actually appears to be on the rise in Canada. Between 2003 and 2013, the proportion of Canadians having 3 or more close friends increased from 70 to 75%, as did the number with more than 10 other friends or acquaintances. Newfoundland ranks at the top for both size of social network and frequency of contacts with friends. So you can actually see some of that information in the belonging section of the Newfoundland and Labrador report as well. Having said that, we're less likely to spend time in person with our friends and relatives than we were a decade ago. So the proportion of Canadians who saw their friends a few times or more each week declined from 56% in 2003 to only 44% in 2013. Rural and remote regions face major challenges, but also have a strong foundation of belonging to build upon. So on the one hand, 61% of Canadians do not currently live in the community where they grew up. In particular, in this province, we have special challenges relating to migration into urban centers, out-migration from the province, and long-distance commuters, people who reside in the province but are working abroad, which creates problems for sense of belonging, not only in communities in Newfoundland and Labrador, but also in communities where people spend their working lives. 72% of Canadians from Atlantic Canada believe that their community doesn't have enough to offer for young people. So these are problems that we need to consider as we're thinking about reshaping our rural communities in the years ahead. However, the good news is that rural residents are more likely to know and trust their neighbors, to volunteer for an organization, and to attend public meetings. And provinces with large rural populations, which includes not only Newfoundland and Labrador, but also Prince Edward Island, Saskatchewan, and the Northern Territories, have the highest levels of community belonging in the country. So it goes to show the role that rural communities and the tight social networks that come into play in those regions, how that's involved with developing a sense of belonging and a stake in your community. So community foundations and other community organizations across the country are already taking action on many fronts to see how we can improve people's feeling of belonging in their communities. And we invite you to start this discussion with us and other people in your circles today using information from the Newfoundland and Labrador Report and the National Report. The National Report is available online at vitalsignscanada.ca. As I said, our social media hashtag is VSBelonging. Creating community cohesion and a sense of belonging requires not only for individuals to participate in their communities, but also for the community to be inclusive and welcoming of all its members. So I hope that's something that as we're moving forward today, we can all think about how we can welcome and include everyone in our communities. So thank you very much. And I hope you'll take a look at the report on the website.